Hello, everyone. My name is Nehemiah Pitts III, and I chair the Community Technology and Telecommunications Commission for the City of Austin. I'm honored to be here today in a special conversation with one of our esteemed nonprofits, Austin Freenet, and one of their clients. Here today to talk about their lived experiences dealing with the digital divide and challenges during the pandemic, accessing technology, the internet, and services related to all the above. In this conversation, I'm pleased to be joined by the interim executive director for Austin Freenet, Jess Ross, and as I mentioned, one of their clients, Ms. Colleen.
Ooh, hi there. My name is Jess Ross, and as Chair Pitts mentioned, I am the interim executive director for Austin Freenet, and this is my client, Miss Colleen, who, as he stated, is a part of our tablet program and has actually been helping us develop the digital navigator program as well. So she's been a little a guinea pig for us to help launch that program.
I'm Colleen Dickinson, one of the students that on Jess's program, which I'm happy to be, delighted to be. Thank you. This has been great fun for me. I knew a wee bit about technology, and because of this class, I've really learnt a lot. And I'm looking forward to learning a lot more. I'm glad it's there for us because there's lots of us out there that are not have the wherewithal to have this technology in their homes to help them, and this would be something very, very important for them. You know, as it was for myself, I had no way, couldn't have gone to the libraries anymore because of the climate we're in right now. So when this was brought to my attention, signed me up. I want to be on board with this, and I'm enjoying it very much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for sharing this with me.
It's our pleasure. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing that. I appreciate the framing too, because one of the things that I was hoping to delve into briefly was the context for this conversation and how during the pandemic, things have been so difficult for so many to access services, to access the internet, to access devices, let alone other common services they would be able to access as a citizen or resident of the city of Austin. And I've been very delighted as the chair of the commission to be working with so many esteemed nonprofits, including Austin Freenet, who has served a leadership role with the community and is currently a contracted partner with the city of Austin providing services, which I'm sure Jess will be able to go into more detail about. But one of the main things we wanted to focus on in this conversation was how the pandemic presented challenges for organizations like yours, Jess, as a nonprofit, and how you were able to then pivot and make adjustments as an organization to then respond to your clients, such as Ms. Colleen. And with that, I'd like to give you a chance to talk about that dynamic.
Thank you, Chair Pitts. So Austin Freenet has been a nonprofit in Austin since 1995, and our goal is to bring computer and internet access and digital literacy to all of Austin, with an emphasis on our most underserved community members. So when the pandemic hit, it definitely presented a challenge for us, and that is, how do we teach our clients when they're not in front of us, when they can't be in front of us, when they already need the digital literacy that they are seeking. And I believe one way that we moved really quickly was to develop some online classes that could get people connected right away. It took a minute to get people connected because it's not as easy for some as it is for others. And once we were able to educate them on those easy steps, we were able to create some virtual classrooms to assist and help people connect not only to their instructors, but to their family, to their jobs, to the world. I think it was critical that our organization was there to step in and help during a time of need like that. And it really just put a spotlight on what our services do and what our services provide to the community, and how critical it is even before pandemic, and how critical it is after and during pandemic.
Very well said. Very well said. And with that as a point of departure, really looking at the challenges before the pandemic and the challenges after, would you mind sharing, perhaps both of you, what it's been like, both from the nonprofit organizational perspective, and then also as a citizen receiving services and yet dealing with the crisis and managing the dynamics of that crisis, something so unique as this pandemic, for example, and then looking to try to find a way to get things done?
Well, Ms. Colleen, I'll let you do some talking. How did you feel about senior tech and how it helped you connect during pandemic?
It really has in lots of ways, now and the future, because again, with the climate we're in, who knows when things are going to get back to normal, if there's a normal. But there's something I would like to do. I'd like to have a job at some point that works at home, that I can be at home and work technologically from my home like everybody else has seemed to be. That's the thing that we have to get on board with and that I need to do. It's imperative. It's for our livelihood. It's not just a fad that will pass at some point. This is here for a very, very long time. God bless the kids. They're tech savvy, but I'd like to do my own banking online, my own shopping online. Around the Easter, I wanted to order something to eat, and I was told if I can get this app, I can have a meal delivered. Well, I didn't have that app, and I didn't have access to that app, and I hadn't the foggiest idea what they were talking about. But since then, my teacher and Miss Jess have sort of explained it to me and showed it to me, so I'm getting there, but we're not there yet. It's a long road, and the end result for myself is to be able to do something at home, work-wise, not just to learn and have the tablet classes. I want to contribute and get back into the job field, medical billing and coding, something. But one has to learn, and there's a lot of us out there that we're smart, but technology has taken over, and that's where we are.
Yeah, Miss Colleen brings up a lot of valid points here that a lot of our clients go through, and that is number one, having access to these devices. And so during pandemic, one thing that Austin Freenet was able to provide was public access to public computer labs, even through pandemic. Capacity was a little bit lower than typical, but we were able to get people computer lab access and internet access during pandemic. I believe we were the only computer lab in the city of Austin to provide that service. And then after access is education. So we had classes such as Ms. Colleen's class with the tablets to educate and help them maneuver a world where they might not have the option to do those things in person. And that is critical. And as Ms. Colleen said, it's going to continue. It's not something that's going to be a fad. This was foreseen in 1995 when they developed Austin Freenet, and the need is still here and greater than ever. So we don't see this going anywhere anytime soon. And what Austin Freenet has done is really just pivoted and changed along with the climate of what the need is. So in addition to computer access labs, we have virtual classrooms, and we'll be incorporating on-site classrooms with smaller capacity until we're able to all meet again and continue to learn.
Can I stick a pin here?
Of course, Ms. Colleen.
One of the residents in my building, she's smart, but our utilities came by the mail every month. And someone's got this scathingly brilliant idea of having it emailed to you. Again, getting rid of paper, the trail of paper, which is fine for some. But she has a landline and one of those ancient flip phones. She has no idea of getting her bill. So she spoke with management and says, how do I know what my electric would be month to month? And they says, well, you can come down and ask us, or we can go online and she hasn't the foggiest idea how to go online and do that. She was in tears, trying to ask me what to do, and I don't mind helping, but that's not my thing. What about the next 3 or 4 residents in the building that are in their 80s and late 70s that have never seen a laptop or a computer, and they're still with a landline? So there's no internet on a landline. And thank God for what we're doing and for you guys letting me do this, but we've got a ways to go. And there's people that need this help. Who helps them? Who will help the next Sue of the world?
Absolutely.
And I'm a wee bit intimidated by this because I'm learning and I'm trying very hard to do what I'm doing. But who's going to help that person and the next person and the next person?
Yeah, I think what Miss Colleen taps into there is that access to internet and digital literacy is a fundamental right for everybody, and that's really what we are trying to provide at Austin Freenet.
Yes.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate your candor, Miss Colleen, and yours as well, Jess. And I'd like to say, if I can, that what you described, Miss Colleen, was a effort to maintain autonomy and independence.
Quite.
And I can appreciate that so much, having been intimately involved with my grandparents and my mother and other seniors, or other adults rather, of all ages, but people who are at a stage now in life when they're looking to maintain their autonomy, even if they have not been familiar with certain technologies or training, regardless of access.
Quite.
Now then, with the issue of access, in addition to a lack of familiarity and experience, it creates an added challenge. And so, first off, I have to say my hat's off to you for persevering through that. As someone who I wouldn't consider a senior at all, but someone who is clearly wanting to maintain their independence and looking for autonomous, rather independent resources to rely upon. But yet, because of your leadership, because of what you've done in your past, you have a heart for others, clearly, as a retired RN. And so you see the challenges they've been through. I'd like to take that, if I could, and ask Jess, if you wouldn't mind explaining how some of the ways your program has enabled Miss Colleen and her peers and others to be able to share their learnings and things they've done, and to get more comfort with coming directly to services like Austin Freenet for help.
Yeah, one of my favorite examples actually is an example with Miss Colleen. I had the fortune of being able to teach one of the classes that she was in, and one of the lessons that we learned was scheduling or sending a scheduled email. And so I was able to instruct Miss Colleen and the class on how to send emails and what are the tips and tricks and things that you and I might take for granted. We just know second nature. But something as simple as sending a scheduled email, Miss Colleen was able to learn how to send a scheduled email so that when she's writing emails to her family and friends across the pond, she's not sending them at 2 o'clock in the morning so that they write back and say, what are you doing up at 2 o'clock in the morning? So when I was able to instruct her on how to send a scheduled email, it was a game changer for her. And so these little things that we take for granted are huge for other people who aren't aware, don't have the access to it. And it enables them, as you said, the freedom to do all the things that we take for granted. So something just as small as sending an email.
Especially in the food industry.
I didn't even think about that.
Now, I mean, it's overwhelming. I do not want to call to my favorite restaurant and said, okay, I'm not mobile anymore. Would it be possible for me to have this and that and that? And they said, well, you've got to have DoorDash, or you've got to have whatever different apps we have around at the time. But my neighbors can't do that. I can't do that. I haven't the foggiest idea how to do that. Where do, I've got to learn to get the app, which you guys will teach, of course. And then to implement that, and this is as a trial run, and says here. But there's a lot of elderly people that, one, doesn't have the wherewithal, and even if they do have the wherewithal, they still can order, food or get out there, because they're in wheelchairs, they're with walkers. One of my favorite neighbors, she's with the walker. And I saw her crossing 51st and Cameron with the walker going to the petrol station for her fags or whatever. But I mean, I tried every day. She has an issue with her phone. Every day. She's at my door. What did I do to my phone? How did I want my son. I can't get my son. I'm not there yet, but I try, or I would go around the property looking for someone that can help us.
Yeah.
But the elderly are going to be crushed in this. We're putting them in a home with nothing.
Yeah.
We've got resources. We've got Meals on Wheels. We've got things that are very, very helpful. But without power and without a proper phone and without some sort of technology in their home to get help out there, we're all in a fix.
Yeah. And I think that really what that goes to say is that the services that we provide to our clients are basic digital skills. We're not teaching rocket science by any means, but the things that we do provide are second knowledge, or just come really easy to the people who have those skills in their toolbox. So the people who don't even know where to start, and there's a lot of shame and there's a lot of embarrassment about digital literacy and being educated. And so when you come to Austin Freenet, we do not discriminate against anybody. Everybody is welcome, and all we want to do is provide access and digital literacy to those who don't have it, so that they can send a scheduled email, they can order from Uber Eats, they can check their bank account online. We're not, again, we're not teaching rocket science here. We're teaching basic digital literary skills that anybody should have access to and should know. And so I think part of working with Austin Freenet, and a lot of things that I hear from like our volunteers are, well, do I have enough digital knowledge to be a part of Austin Freenet and help serve the community? And the answer is yes, because there are so many people out there who just don't have the basic skills that are required to function. As Ms. Colleen mentioned, sending an email, getting food, checking your account online, paying your bills. And so those are the services that we really hone in on, especially for our most underserved community members. We're open to everyone, but our most underserved community members are definitely suffering in this digital divide, and those are the people that we turn our attention to the most.
Having a sort of a setup for them to be able to chat with their doctors now, or to get their medicine. Those are two very, very valid things.
Absolutely.
Not everyone can get on a bus to go to HEB to pick up their meds, or Walgreens, or that sort of thing. And they haven't got transportation. So if they have something, some wee thing in their home that they can press something and chat with their doctor, or press them out of, those things that are used to be a norm, that you can get on the bus or you can whatever. Now it's becoming rather difficult to do. Very, very difficult to do.
Well, I'd like to weigh in on that, especially with your concerns about the future. I know one of the things that the city of Austin is very focused on is working to bridge the digital divide and to help all residents really be able to take advantage of government that works for all. And our efforts with Austin Freenet are focused around that. And at the same time, we understand that this is a scenario that will require a steady and persistent uh, ecosystem focused on this and the solutions that it requires. I have to say that to begin with, having individuals like yourself who are willing to come and receive services is a huge advantage. And I know you may not be so inclined as to give yourself credit for, being a change agent, but seeing how someone within your community now sees you as their tech expert clearly speaks to how relevancy and comfort are directly related to the security aspect and what technology can do for people when it comes to familiarity, when it comes to training, even just with the basic skills. And then it creates an urgency and a need, I think, to understand more and to see more outcomes that are focused on the community and that can help. So I really appreciate that. I'd like to ask you, when it comes to that experience, Ms. Colleen, if I may, would you mind sharing a little bit more about how within the realm of, say, for example, your day-to-day, you've been able to have somewhat of a progression. I know it's when you're in a mode of being a provider and a mode of actually providing services, insights, and training for others, it's tough not to see all the problems and challenges because you become more and more aware of them. Would you mind sharing a little bit more about how others have learned from you?
Yes. My neighbor, so I feel like a smarty pants now, or a geeky person. I would wear that on with. Um, yeah, a couple of my neighbors, as I said, would somehow they think I know everything now, and I don't. And we would meet in the game room, and I would say, okay, this is what. Uh, uh, about 2 days ago, a gent wanted to send his mom a hello, and he's from Hawaii. And every time he touches his phone, it dials, and it's too early there, and he didn't want to wake her, but he just wanted to text her and says, "Hi, Mom, love you, hi." So he was knocking at my door, and I says, "Yeah," and he says, "Well, could you show me?" So I took his phone, and I smelled like a smarty pants, because I could have shown him how to do that, how to
What?
text his mom in Hawaii and say hi, and I could have helped my neighbor to put the app for her utility on my phone because she trusts me. And she would come up and I would open it, and there's her name, and there is the amount. And I says, okay, take my phone down and tell them this is, which they already knew, but they've got to get over the thing of the fear. Technology is scaring a lot of us. It's, I think, because it was there, it has always been there, but now it's thrust upon us. There's nothing we can do. We've got to do it. You go to the stores, if you don't understand in the line, you can do the swipey thingy. Sorry, I'm putting this badly, but scan your things, and that intimidates an elderly person. Everything, we can't leave them behind. I wish everybody can get on Austin Freenet. I wish everyone. I mean, I've got a list of people that I know would be smashing to have them on it. Just smashing to get on board with this. And I'm so elated to help them, because if I've got 3 that understands what I'm saying and what I'm doing, that's great. And come on, join this. And yeah, I mean, we need help out there, and you guys are doing an excellent thing. I am blessed and honored to be part of, Austin Freenet.
That's so kind.
You
And
couldn't get rid of me. Let's put it that way. I'll camp out there.
I will say that word of mouth is probably one of the faster ways that we have people come into the organization for help. I believe that word of mouth spreads faster than social media these days. So once somebody like Miss Colleen has a little bit of education, they want to share it. And so who do they share it to? The people who are a little bit too timid to come to the organization. So once word of mouth spreads, then it's kind of like, we educate Miss Colleen, and Miss Colleen is able to educate her neighbors and her friends, and if they need more assistance, they're always welcome at Austin Freenet to get the digital literacy or the access that they need. So that's one of the joys of our program, is that word of mouth definitely helps us, and it spreads way faster than social media does.
Yeah. Yeah, because they haven't got the social media, do they? They haven't got the
Thank you.
social media.
You took the words right out of my
They
mouth, Miss
haven't got the
Colleen.
social media, do they? So that's like, okay, wait a minute now, guys. I put a sign on my door. I'll start charging a buck for every time you disturb me with information, because it's not my forte, but I can tell you where. So I've been giving numbers up to people, and But I think the two important things for the elderly in this world, on this planet, with what's going on, is their doctors and their meds and food. Just basic
Basics.
livelihood.
Yeah.
You can't, they're not mobile. They do have the access, which is nice, but sometimes your body is aching and you can't get out there. And it would be nice if I oftentimes think of people that are blind. How do they survive with this? What technology do we do for them to be able to get out? I mean, they go out and do their things, but to order things and do things is, I think of everybody.
Well, you would be amazed to find that there are a lot of websites that are available to people who can't see. And so basically you design your website and you create another portal where they'll be able to access it through audio. So there are ways for members of the community that who have disability to use the internet as well, that many people might not even be aware of, but it should be attainable by all, and that's our goal.
And the guys at this Austin Freenet are very patient and sweet. I have encountered sometimes people that are rather, they're all overwhelmed, and they're probably tired and scared and frustrated, whatever, and it comes across. And you guys have been charming from start to finish.
Thank you, Ms. Colleen.
Which is nice, because we're going to need that patient. We're going to ask that thing, and we have to remember as well that some of the elderly, even though they're clever, they might not know to spell a specific thing. So you've got to help them to spell that. Amazon. What did you say? So you'll have to spell that word for them. But I think if you give the elderly the access to this, it's got a whole new world out there. We can take over,
Oh no.
Yeah, just teach us. Just give us the wherewithal, and we can do it. Because a lot of the elderly people in my building, when the grandkids come to visit, that's when they learn technology. What's that? What do you do with it? And they would show grandma, look, you can see mom and dad. Look, you can see, and they're like kids in a candy store. We're like kids in a candy store. This is fascinating. I'm here for the long run.
Oh, that warms my heart. It warms my heart. I can't tell you how much it warms my heart to hear you say that, and to see your passion for this now, because it really is important that we address your concerns. You made mention earlier of how fear plays such a role in hesitancy for people of older age with technology, just because of lack of familiarity and fear of failure, fear of making mistakes, of doing the wrong thing, and just getting to the point of where you're at, for example, where you recognize the tool's capability, and at that point you see it as a problem-solving challenge. How can I make this tool work for me? And ultimately, I think that's where organizations like Austin Freenet come in, and I really do appreciate everything that you all have done in that regard for that very reason. I wonder what it would be like for my grandmother, as someone who actually met my grandfather at the Austin School for the Deaf here in town, what her life would be like today if she was able to leverage technology. In our case, we couldn't afford a TDY machine, but I remember the day when fax machines became so affordable that we used a fax machine and were able to use faxes and exchange faxes from across the country so easily with handwritten notes or what have you. Would you please perhaps share some examples of how you've seen things from the past now evolve in the current day and age with your experience technologically.
Jess or myself?
I think Miss Colleen.
I would like to hear both of you, but I'd like to hear from Miss Colleen first.
Um, oh yeah. I'm one of those scaredy cats, I'm afraid. The family was sort of exasperated. Why is this so difficult for you? You've challenged everything in life and mastered it. The idea was, it was forced on me. It's not something thought of and wanted to do. I felt it was thrust on me, and I didn't like that. So my back was against it, and I'm not going to get this. This is bloody annoying. Everything I touch, it goes somewhere, and I don't know where it is. And it took a while for me to realize it's in there. You just have to get it back. But it's exciting. I like it, and I have several people I know that would love to have this and learn it. And it's an independent thing. You've got people now sharing their personal information with people, and that's including myself. It scares me. I've tried to order my first order with Amazon the other day, and I was still a bit skeptic. I knew what I wanted. I had everything there, but clicking on that cart thing with my card, I was not sure if it was going towards my order or going into cyberspace. So I became very phobic, and I ran around to someone in the office downstairs and says, "Is this where I'm sending it?" So there's still little things that we have to learn. So I'm still skittish with certain things. But I think, and right now, because of a lot of elderly people at home and can't get out that much because of what's going on globally, they have a new toy, and they're going to learn that toy, and they're going to do very well in that toy. You have the patience, you have a tablet to give them, you have a class once or twice a week. They're going to be there. They are going to be there. And they're going to be there for me for a minute. They're going to be there for you as well. I mean, they were so excited that they could have sent a text. You know, I don't want to cry. But they were so excited about sending a text. And I taught them. Sort of smart me taught them. So imagine you or Jess or Mr. Fierro might teach it, Mr. Teach them. I mean, we have to get them on board. We have to, or they're going to die out. And that's not acceptable, not at all. My building have a lot of them in there that doesn't have anything. They do have the landlines and the old flip phone that doesn't have anything on it. And they can't afford to buy those things out there. Those things are too expensive. So we have to have these programs. They're necessary to survive, to live, to eat, for everything. AustinNet is it. That's my thing right now. I don't know of anybody else, so you guys have got the stars on your badge.
Thank you, Miss Colleen. I think to answer Nehemiah's question, my experience with the internet and computers has been pretty open from the beginning. I was very fortunate enough to have a computer when I was in middle school, so I kind of grew up with it. However, I will say that everybody knows somebody who suffers from digital literacy. My mother suffers from digital literacy. She's afraid of the computer. She would rather have her children do it. And so just think about that. I really do think that if you think into your circle of people that you know somebody who's suffering from digital literacy. It is prevalent and it is out there. And so just being able to provide those services and provide that education is critical to our community so that they can be more informed, so that they can speak with their family and friends, so that they can do basic digital skills that we take for granted.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I know that my experience was similar. I was somewhat fortunate, although I didn't have a computer until high school, access to a computer until high school. My mother worked within uh, with computers and word processors.
Mm.
So I gained a familiarity with the keyboard at the very least at an earlier age. But I still think about all those that don't have that opportunity, which
Right.
is unfortunately far too many, and
Mm,
a much larger bulk due to affordability issues and challenges with
quite.
finances. You know, in my case, growing up in a single parent family was certainly the challenge. But I do remember what it was like getting that first Smith and Corona uh, typewriter that actually had a built-in computer, or at least storage, so that it could actually store some of the words as opposed to having to retype everything, and what a difference that made to my life. Affordability and access. With that in mind, and the need for change, I'd like to go ahead and pivot a little bit towards what we can do, the community in general, but leaders for that matter. I'd like to hear from both of you and your perspective on how the city and community leaders can help to shape change that's necessary in this regard.
I think a great way would be to support the organizations that are boots on the
Right.
ground, working directly with the community,
Right.
because they have the community's trust, and I know that that's critical, especially when you're navigating the world of the internet and computers and privacy. So I think having supporting those organizations and making sure that they have the tools that they need so that they can reach out to the community and serve the community is critical. And I know that the city of Austin has done an amazing job with us in that respect. But I believe that really what we need are corporations to step in at this
Yes.
time and really help out
Yes.
just as much.
Yes. Here's a hypothesis. In my property, we've got computer room. It's about 8 or 9 computers. No one's ever in there.
Mm.
Not even myself. Well, I think there's the intimidation. I think, but more programs like yours gear specifically. I mean, we've got kids that are this way, but and the teachers in classrooms will probably step in on that part. But I mean, we're geared towards helping. I mean, your mom have a group of friends, and when she learns and she shows her friends, they're on board. And when Nehemiah's mom, or shows they're on board. So that's how the circle goes. These guys are very clannish as they get older, they hang out with their friends. But teaching each other is going to be, that's the way it's going to be done. Because they know this friend for a very long time since they were kids or, whatever, and they can show each other. And that's a comfort thing. They know this person, they can trust them, and it's not a total stranger. But we have to have the information or the equipment for them to do this, Find out who's the leader of that group and says, I'll show you. And because some of them are savvy, they'll get it a lot faster than some do. And you can use that one to do it. But the state needs that. They need to step in and help us. They really need to step in and help us.
I appreciate that. I know that one of the things that the city is working steadily towards is enabling public-private partnerships to make these things possible, whether it's in access to the internet or access to devices themselves directly, or in enabling infrastructure that will provide adequate broadband and
Yes.
actual internet speeds that are appropriate in
Yes.
certain parts of town where they may not be today. With
Yeah.
that in mind, would you mind speaking to what it's been like? This is probably a question best suited for Jess.
Mhm.
With that in mind, would you mind speaking to what it's been like receiving different clients like Miss Colleen from different parts of town come over and receive services based upon the fact that they don't necessarily have adequate broadband or access to devices where they live?
And during pandemic or just across the board?
Well, during the pandemic, certainly, and also across the board.
So during the pandemic, I definitely felt there was a frantic need to obtain the services that we provided, just because everything had shut down and the only thing that we could really depend on was, telecommunications. outside of the pandemic, I feel like people, again, find us through word of mouth at the very top, and know that they can trust us because someone else has trusted us to deliver digital literacy, or to just simply give them access to the computer, no questions asked. The type of client that comes to Austin Freenet is different. Every person who walks through that door has a different need, because digital literacy and access is such a broad topic. There's literally everybody who comes in is a different person with a different need. So how do we handle so many different variables? I believe that we try our best to educate, and just literally give them access to a computer. And so with our digital navigator program that's in development, it's pretty similar to what we've been doing since 1995, which is offering one-on-one service to somebody who needs technical skills or needs access to a computer. Hopefully our digital navigator program will provide that on a one-on-one basis, so that they can rely and understand that they can trust our organization and the people who work for our organization, which a vast majority of the people who contribute to Austin Freenet are volunteers in the community that contact us and just want to do better for the community. And that's literally how I got started with Austin Freenet. I saw a need, and I really wanted to help, especially during pandemic when we could use all the help we can as a community. That's when I jumped in and started working with Austin Freenet. So really, we've been doing the same thing that we've been doing since 1995, and it's incredible to me to think that someone thought that there would be a need in 1995, and that need is still greater than ever. But as far as the type of clients that come in, they run the gamut, because everybody's need is going to be different, whether it be learning how to do your banking online, learning how to communicate with your family online, learning how to research information online. Everybody has a different need, and we try our best to show them which direction will get them what they need the fastest. And I think that's really the heart of AFN, is the community involvement and the non-judgmental approach to digital literacy and computer and internet access.
I think getting someone of the group and teach them and let them take it from there for the group. Again,
Yep.
you know, because all of us are kind of, who are we giving this information to? Who are we chatting with? I know I'm phobic about giving out information. Terribly so.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to let that go until I'm comfortable with it. But like my building again, the guys know me and know I get things done, and I'm pretty firm in what I say. But so they trust me, you know, with their banking. I'm to go to the bank with their card, put in the numbers, and get their funds. And every time they give it to me, can I have the number again? I've given to you 7 times. You forgot. Well, I'm not going to retain it. It's not my bank. It's yours. But that's not what I would like to do. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
No, we teach them how to do that with their little, or a phone, an applicable phone that they can do these things. I don't know. I don't know technologically what would be the answer, but we've got to help somehow. And you've got to find
And I
somebody
think
in their group to do
just
that.
being there as a place to go where you can trust an organization that's going to help you is the start. I really do believe that.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you so much for that, because to your point, Ms. Colleen, it really is about each one teaching one.
Yes.
And a multiplication effect based upon that. But getting to the point where, frankly, they're like you, and they're stalwart, and they're confident in what they can do. They know what they don't want to do.
Yes.
but they're confident and stalwart with what they can do, and they know how to use the technology for those means.
Yes.
And then best case, they're able to go to resources like Austin Freenet to get the extra guidance that they need. And that's one of the reasons why I want to thank you so much for this conversation today as we come to a close, because it is organizations like Austin Freenet that offer that safe space that
Amen.
made their doors open to you. And then you came in and got the comfort level that you have now to be able to share with others. So I really do want to thank you for that. And as we close this conversation out, give you all an opportunity to share any last thoughts here on your road here during the pandemic, in managing the digital divide with these services together, and the future.
Miss Colleen?
Hate the pandemic, want it gone. But it's a double-edged sword, sort of, Nehemiah, because I didn't think I'd say that, but because of the pandemic, I'm learning computer technology. And the fear of the technology is gone. There are wee things that I'm still uncomfortable with, as I said, my credit card going out there, but this has really been great for me, and I'm getting over that phobia, and I feel happy to help my immediate neighbors with it, because they need it, we need it, and I'm glad you guys are there. Thanks, Mr. Nehemiah. I'm so glad you guys are here, and Miss Jess, and as I said, I'm not going anywhere. You can't get rid of me.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, ladies. Again, did you want to add to that, Jess?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, think about it. When you think of digital literacy and the digital divide, there is somebody that you know who suffers from the digital divide. And wouldn't it be great if they had a place that they could go to that was community driven, where they could learn to send an email, learn to order food online, learn to do their banking, learn to have a little bit more freedom than they've had before. And that place is Austin Freenet. So if you know somebody who suffers from the digital divide, please send them our way. We won't be able to get rid of them, as you see.
Hey, WhatsApp. I just discovered WhatsApp, so I can speak to my cousins in London. Yep. And in Holland.
Outstanding.
Yep.
Outstanding. Well, I want to wish you both the best, but of course, I know I'll be seeing you, Jess, and I want to let you know, Ms. Colleen, that I look forward to seeing you too, and wish you the best in all your future engagements with the community and your neighbors, being able to get your own space and make sure to focus on the things that you want to do, but at the same time, be able to continue to be a champion for these efforts as a digital navigator.
Thank you, Nehemiah.
Thank you, Nehemiah.
God bless. Stay safe. Thank you very
so
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss
God bless you
Jess.
too.
Thank you, Colleen.